but before that, and music filters is 41 of a certificate of recognition and a gift card to the Quilt Shop choice. In addition, to help celebrate comeback. She's always calm and true. And it has always been an excellent example of creativity, pitching in. Is a great quilter and has always been encouraging to everyone who wants to support regardless of their ability. She is funny, patient, and super friendly. She's known to exhibit positive humor, and she also employs many impressive techniques. Her sense of humor and outgoing friendliness has always been an inspiration, and she's been so welcoming to myself and other members. Finally, I want to thank you for your hard work and what you have done years for the quilters. I'd like to say congratulations.
Think you'll enjoy it. So I think that volunteering is fun, but I think the main reason to volunteer is because you have a commitment to the organization, because you believe in the goals and the future of Minnesota quilters in this case, and you choose something to volunteer in Minnesota quilters. That's the reason to volunteer. Everything else is just a benefit. And then I'd also like to say that people should get more involved in the guild. Volunteering is an easy way to get involved in the guild, and it's better than just being a member. There's more to being in the guild than being a member and coming to the meetings and paying your dues. Another way to be involved in the guild is to go to the board meetings, which is really easy now because they're on Zoom. And you can find out what's coming down the pike in the board meetings, and you can sew while it's going on. You don't have to pay attention unless something perks your interest. You can you can listen. You can contact board members after the fact and saying, oh, I didn't know we were doing this, and this sounds really interesting. I'd like to help out with that. So those are my points to make is thank you to the person who nominated me. Everybody should be recognized. I guess maybe I should say something about the newsletter as well. When I had to resign my job last year as newsletter editor, I was surprised to learn that there were people on the board who don't bother to read the newsletter. And this was quite a surprise to me because they all get the chance to proofread it before it goes out. If you don't read the newsletter, if you think, oh, I know everything that's going on in the guild, but you miss out on the things that the members send in. You miss Laura's column. You miss Claudia Clark-Meyer's column. You miss the show and tell that people send in. This is a connection to the membership. members are allowed to send anything they want to the newsletter and be part of the guild in that way. And so people who are on the board and not on the board should be reading the newsletter. And then I'll also say that I think the newsletter job is the best job in the guild. I've been a member of Minnesota Quilters off and on since the 80s. And I think the newsletter is the best job. I've been newsletter editor for other guilds and other organizations for forever, since the late 70s, and I still have 2 of them that so take a look at what's involved in a newsletter.
So you're able to fix it or not?
It's just typing.
Huh?
Okay, I guess I'm done talking now because somebody else has taken over. So, but look into volunteering and be involved in the guild, be active, and enjoy it. Thank you.
Congratulations, Wanda. That was awesome. You well deserved.
That inspiring speech.
Thank you, Wanda. That's great. We really are so happy you're the volunteer of the year.
Okay, so we need to make sure we're through the technology glitches here. So can people on Zoom hear me?
Yes.
So that part's done. Okay, the speaker will be up here in just a second. She needs to stand in this spot. The mic. She needs to stand in this spot, and she has a mic that's different from this one. We are having some new technology. They are improvements in the long run, but we have to learn how to use them first. This is one. Hang in there with us. And speaking of volunteers, we do need a couple of volunteers to hold up quilts as Wendy shows them. You need to walk them around the room. Preferably if you're tall, preferably a taller person, but okay, there's one over there, there's 2 over there, and then 1 over there. Great. All right, so the tidbit that I have to tell you about holding the quilts up is you need to stand here and you need to show it to the owl first so the people on Zoom can see it well. You need to be still, just hold it up there for as long as it takes to get it done. And then after that is done, then you start walking around the room and show it to the people in the room. But we need to get it to the Zoomers first so they can see it. What else? The raffle quilt. The Chaska folks have brought in a very lovely raffle quilt that's outside, and you may have missed it because you may have already been in the room when they set it up. But during the break time, be sure to go out and have a look at the raffle quilt and put in your bid for it, or your buy a ticket for it rather, I guess. Okay. We will have announcements and show and tell after our speaker. So let's get started with the speaker. Our speaker today is Wendy Richardson. She needs to stand here.
Unless you're holding up quilts, and I can go hide somewhere else.
Yeah, but when you hold up quilts, you need to stand here. Okay. But for now, Wendy is a longtime member, and actually once upon a time was president of NQ back in the 90s, we think, sometime. She's been around for a while, and I'll let her introduce herself. But she has some lovely things to show us this morning, and some of them, I believe, will be door prizes later on, and some of us possibly for sale. Yeah, okay. But Wendy, it's all yours.
I have to have my cheat sheet here. But this is so out of my comfort zone, so just bear with me. I haven't seen this many people since before COVID. Like vending in Houston in November of 2019. So, I, like Wanda, I don't know whose idea it was to invite me, but thank you. Thanks for having me. And like Sarah said, I've been around for a long time. And it's true about volunteering. And just thanks to all the big background I got from being in Minnesota Quilters, right from the late. Started quilting in 1975. So I was around like Helen Kelly and Pat Cox and Jeannie Spears, and before MQ even started, and was in some local groups. And so it's just, I feel like this trunk show is your life. You know, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, is it really almost 50 years been quilting? So it's always fun to talk about quilting. So I was happy to come and talk about that. I brought quilts to show and tell. If you have any comments or questions while we're looking at the quilts, just jump in and ask me about whatever. I did start in 1975. I got pregnant, and there was the whole bicentennial thing for 76. And my mom said, "Oh, you need a project that takes you a long time." So that was a quilt, but I'd already, you know, I've always sewed, and I think even the quilts, I can, if somebody wants to hold up the first quilt, it's like the most boring quilt you've ever. But I got third place at the show in St. Paul. Yeah, what was the winter carnival name of that person's show? So it's all embroidered. It was. Right here. Oh, there we go. That doesn't tell me. So anyway, it was easy as, you know, being pregnant. I just sat and embroidered all these blocks, and it's on a sheet, and it's like, oh my God, things we would never do today. But that was in 1975. So
Did you quilt it too?
I did. So anyway, I also did another, like a baby quilt. I got a kit from a catalog, and I didn't really know much about quilting. And so it said, you know, put the top and the batting and the backing and quilt it. And I thought, my stitches are going to look so horrible on the back. I'm like, so I quilted it just through the batting, and then put it on. I don't have that quilt anymore. So I wouldn't bring it if I did. So I joined several groups, Brooklyn Center. Maybe some of you know Brooklyn Center. Feel like we're kind of in a cult, in this cult of quilting, but I think it's really important, you know. And we all visited quilt shops, and we're still visiting quilt shops. It's a lot more organized these days. You can shop hop all over the state. At some point, I was recruited by some friends to volunteer for Minnesota Quilters. I spent a few years as secretary, and we used to have board meetings in our homes. We would take turns doing that. And then I was program person. And we had, unfortunately, we didn't pay people to come and talk back in the day. I was volunteered to ask Jan Myers to come and speak for free. And thank God she said no. For her, you know, but that's, you know, that's kind of what it was like. But we had Yvonne Porcella, Joe Diggs, Georgia Bonesteel, Flavin Glover, and there's probably some other people I'm forgetting, but they were all lovely, you know, and we picked them up at the airport, and it was really a fun volunteer job. So like Wanda said, it's a good thing to volunteer. I also was vice president and president, which my arm got twisted pretty hard to do that. So I'm an introvert. This is like not so fun, but anyway, I did it, and it was great. And so it's a great opportunity to meet people and get involved with your friends. So that was my first big quilt, and the big quilt that I got a prize with. So then, you know, came along, my son was born and older, and I joined the American Quilter Society after the quilters. And my aunts, my great aunt and my aunt came over for Christmas. And I said, "Oh, you want to see the quilt that I'm entering in Paducah in the quilt show?" This was like 87 or something. They're like, "Yeah, let's take them into my studio." And that the black and white quilt is like on the wall, like right when you walk on the door, it's like 10 feet away. And so they walk in, they're like, so where's the quilt? Well, that's the quilt. So I think they were a little disappointed, but I got a first place. So yay. And this was.
Should we bring this over?
Yes, sure, sure. They can come and see the black behind you. Okay. I'm off my. So this was another, I got a first place in Paducah on this one too, I think. Following year. This was like late 80s. And I didn't bring all the big quotes that I thought I brought a lot of stuff, but I could have brought a lot. As you guys probably all have closets full of stuff. I am going to Paducah again this year. I don't have anything in the show, but did you know that the female astronaut from Minnesota, who's a quilter, she's going to be at the museum. So that'll be, I'm looking forward to meeting her while I'm there. I also took a lot of great classes over the years, and hopefully you guys have done the same at the show. I took Ruth McDowell at the show one year, which was amazing. I took a lot of color classes. There was a woman named Mary Temple who had an MFA in, I don't know if it was weaving or just color in general. And I took several months of classes from her on a weekly basis. And then I took classes with Jen Myers. And during Zoom, it was really fun. During Zoom, I took some classes with Sarah Bond. I think her niece is E Bond. She does those, got a line of fabric out. So I'd never done any paper piecing. So this was one of them. And of course we have cherry wood fabric. What? Going in the bed. Oh, okay. So yay, Zoom. Like I never would have gotten to take the class from her. Yay. Never would have gotten to take a class from her. And Philippa Naylor from England. Thinking her, she's a lot more precision oriented than I am. Whatever. A lot of good information. So yay. And then some of you I've heard Contemporary Quilters goes to Woodland Ridge for a little outing, and I got to go for a week last year and see Betty Button. But if you get a chance to go to Woodland Ridge for anything, it's like a fabulous place. It's in Downsville, Wisconsin. So not too far, yeah, by Menominee. So before quilt shows, I was creating artware. I did vending at the ACC shows, the Uptown Art Fair, Fiber Metal, Philadelphia Museum show in St. Louis, and St. Kate's. The last time I did St. Kate's, there was a tornado, and I never did an outdoor show again. that was really horrible. I also made a living having a corporate rep for a while, which kind of happened by accident, but it was really nice. I am in most, maybe not anymore because they changed their decor and stuff, but I was in most all hospitals in the metro area. Is that Elaine? Is it Elaine? No. Okay, sorry. In the metro, the DNR building, a mortgage company, some law offices, and if you remember Lawson Software, they had an office in England that they bought a piece. And that worked really well till Enron. You all remember Enron, and then the economy tanked, and I decided to do some vending. And a lot of things I did were pre-internet. So my website's don't expect anything. You can email me if you have Gmail. I can't answer you because Google doesn't like me for some reason. But anyway, I'm on Instagram. Anybody wants to follow me there. Vending has been a huge part of the last 30 years, I would say. I've vended in California, Kentucky, Texas, Illinois, Wisconsin, North Dakota, and 2 shows in Europe. Which were, I don't know if you remember, Cold Festival in Houston used to do shows in Europe. They did a show in Innsbruck, Austria, and Strasbourg, France. Quite an undertaking, but it was great. A lot of things happen to you when you're vending too. Many years ago, I think I was in Rochester, and a lady, I know she was in Minnesota Culture. I don't remember, she was just, I remember you before you were sort of famous. Say that, I'm sure. And one, I don't know if the show promoters knew that year. I think we were in Rochester, but the vendor across the beach brought her duck. She, on the way up from Rochester, at a farm and garden place, and she put them in a wagon and she hid them under her table. And every once in a while, she'd have a customer and you'd and the people would look around and just bring them to her motel room and put them in the bathtub. It was really, and then one year I was in Houston and a lady bit me. So that was really, it was.
Did you taste it?
I guess. I had just been in Quilting Arts magazine. She was about this big. She was a little Italian lady, and I must have had a little bit of a wedge on or something. And she just came up and just kind of puppy bit. Then she was really embarrassed. And then she was like, well, you'll have a good story to tell. Any other vendors. It was, you just never know what's going to happen with people. I brought a couple books. This one is kind of falling apart, so kind of, and there are probably some repeats in here. Am I kind of baffling a little bit? Am I bumping something? No, I'm okay. Here's another book that's going to go.
When did you start dying? After your class?
Boy, I took some classes from Jan Myers back when Silverwood Park was still like the Girl Scout, took some dyeing classes from her there. And then I sewed for Marit Sarah. I don't know if any of you know Marit. And some of you old timers. She did the Van Dyke quilt shows in Houston and Paducah. But she dies a little differently than I do, but so I took a class at Country Peddler from somebody who took a class from Ann Johnston. And Ann is a good friend. I haven't taken a class from her, but I have her book, and I'm sure you have her books in the library. So I don't know. I fell in love with Cherrywood, but I wanted prints. But I wanted those colors. I was like, I didn't think it was very productive to print all my own fabric. So I guess I'm cheating and over dyeing I'm kind of making noise. A better color. Whoops. I broke it. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you miss everything I already said?
No.
Sure. Let's start over. So I don't know, I just kind of got that bug. And once it's just like crack, I suppose, if I was to try something, but I don't know, I'm addicted to it. So it's really fun. But I haven't entered too many shows lately because when I was vending, I didn't have time. Unless they were just. Why am I making? Yeah, Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll figure this out by the time I'm done. Sure. So anyway, I'm really thankful to Minnesota Quilters, to all my friends who have helped me in innumerable ways to get where I have gotten today, to actually almost kind of make a living at this. COVID kind of killed the whole thing, but I'm still hanging in there. So thank you all for having me. We can talk about, like I told the story of the quilt. You know that I dye vintage linens and laces. I don't know, I love the thought that some other woman, like quilting helps us, and I love the idea that quilting has helped, or stitching has helped some other woman through something, and now I'm playing with all the time she spent on something that she made. And who knows what, the stitching that she did got her through something. So, and besides they were all white, and I just had to change that. So, and I think people, when they're white, we just don't do white anymore. Remember growing up, we had white, everything was white. Sheets, pillow, everything. So I don't know, I like it when they're colored. So a lot of it, I did this quilt with some of the laces. The selvage quilt is not anything new that I did, but it's so fun to do that. There's another piece with the big, you haven't seen that one?
Closer to
the spot.
Stand on the X.
X marks the spot. I think I made the mistake of putting, maybe I put some flannel in there, but anyway. It gets kind of heavy if you do this. So that was really fun. I took a workshop in San Diego from Sue Benner, another absolutely prolific, wonderful quilter. I don't know that it matters if it has a top or not, but yeah. So we did that. And what else? These were a couple little dish towels that I just thought they were so cute. Kind of a retro. Another piece with the linen and a million French knots, because I'm also exposed. The dye process, I use pretty much Anne's method. So when I buy fabric, I think about what I want it to look like and what I can make it look like. So the fabric has to be scoured first. So it takes out all the sizing, but anyway, it takes all the sizing off of it. And then I have a lot of dye powders. I mix the powders into liquids, and then I soak the fabric I'm going to dye in soda ash. And I wring it out a little bit. It goes in a container that is appropriate to this size, whether it's a yard or a big tablecloth or whatever. And then I pour the dye on and I squish it in, and then it has to sit and cook for 2 or 3 hours. Some people leave theirs overnight. I don't know. Anne says it doesn't really make that much difference between 2 hours, 2 days. So I can't wait. So it's 3 hours. And then it's like washing a lot, rinsing a lot with the special soaps, mangling, ironing, folding. I did bring some. I don't know if it's okay or not. I brought some things to sell. I brought door prizes. One of the door prizes is an aardvark quilt pattern. because of course I bought one and lost it and I bought another one. But that doesn't mean, you know, if you have two, that doesn't mean you're gonna get it made anyway, so. Like, I still have it. But, what else? Anything else? Yes. Sure. QT Studio, or I think you can Google my name or search for my name too. QT Studio or Wendy Richardson. You can find me. I'm on Facebook too, but getting tired of it. Instagram is easier. It's not so much weird stuff. So. Any other? Yeah. Oh, good. Somebody can think here. Repeat. Oh, okay. Where I have things, where I have my work at the textile center, which is a great place for textile people. So I'm in the shop there. I'm in a gallery called Grand Hand on Grand Avenue, but very limited, like no fabric or, well, there's no fabric at the textile center either. But just my hand-dyed socks and some linens at Grand Hand. And then Woodland Ridge, Chris Daly at Woodland Ridge in Wisconsin carries my fabric. And Cherrywood is my biggest backer of my biggest helper since I'm not vending anymore. So I wish I liked to sell online, but I don't. So I'm not.
And those socks are bamboo and they're super soft.
They're really nice socks. Yes, ma'am.
How do you get the small spots of color on the embroidery at?
I use the embroidery, dyeing the crochet and the lace. I use a pipette to put the dye exactly where I want it, which doesn't mean it always works. So you have to wing it. So, but I use the same dyes. Yes.
What was Anne's last name?
Johnston. And she has Color by Accident and Color by Design. Thank you. Oh, do you have another question?
What about what made you just?
COVID decided. I mean, the last time I vended was November of 2019 in Houston. At that time, back, like the next show would be Paducah in that following April, and I love the Madison show is really good in September, but then COVID happened, like the fabric stores even shut down, and I'm going to be 74 in a couple of months, and I'll tell you, hauling 400 pounds of stuff out of your basement into the van and driving for 12 hours and hauling it all out of the van, and I'm like, I'm too old for this. Age was a big part of it, but I'm still I'm never gonna have grandkids. I have a grand dog, so I'm single if I'm not doing something. What am I gonna do? So, and people still are very supportive and creative, so I'm lucky so far to keep busy. But any other questions?
And Wendy,
Yeah.
is there a story?
No, it's just an example of using a large piece of lace. Oh, I like that fabric. Yeah. A large piece of lace, and then I did the inside of the lace with some plain linen. So I decided to do some piecing inside. So that's that story. Yes.
Can you talk about where you get the laces and other fabrics that you over dye? Where do you find them?
I spend a lot of time at SR Harris. Sometimes good and sometimes not. The laces, I've been going to estate sales for 40 years. My mom started me going when I was little, and or to auctions and stuff. And sometimes people have things they want to sell, or you know, and I have a lot. I feel like, again, like there's some woman spent who knows how much time making that, and people are just willing to chuck it. I can't stand that. So I feel like when it's a pretty color that they like it better, and they actually have it out and use it. So I just go to antique stores. Just, I'm a scrounger, so wherever I find it. And sometimes people have stuff they want to share, so. Thank you. Yes, what? Yes.
Tell us about the scrolls that you are making. I see them on Instagram.
Shoot, I didn't bring a scroll. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I asked the textile center if I could display them, but they're all booked up. So yeah, my scrolls are on Instagram. I have a lot of big bobbins, and I'll just rip off a piece of fabric and just kind of wing it. Some of them have a theme. I did one with, just like the scrounging person, I had labels from clothing and just labels from everywhere, Dayton's, and I have a huge scroll with all these ties. My mom used to work in a secondhand clothing store, you know, so, and the other scrolls have lace, things like that. Yes, Anne. Oh, the green one? No, that's one of my favorites, but I tried to enter that and nobody wanted it. So it kind of reminds me of those pinball things, you know. But I love dots. Everything's better with dots on it. And I found it didn't have any dots in it. And then I did the little inside border and I did the black strips with the dots. And I took that dotted fabric and put Wonder under it, and I cut out 1,000,000 circles and put all the circles on there, and then I hand pulled it around each little circle. I don't know, it just makes me happy. I just think it's a funny little quilt. So
One more.
yes,
That talk about.
That quilt, it was the first one I really decided to use a lot of lace in one quilt, and I'm a big gardener too. I love gardens, and they all look like kind of flowers, and rickrac's another great thing. So this is actually a fabric rickrack. It's not real rickrack. And there's old vintage hat veil on here too, to kind of get it darker towards the bottom. So, you know, later I'll be here, we'll be here. You come up and look for the Zoom people. Come up and look at things, and if you have any questions after, also, I'll be here. Yes.
Do you use homemade handmade lace or?
I tend to want the real thing, like Aunt Grandma. I don't like stuff from China or Taiwan, or I mean, there's enough out there that I can be a little picky and supporting China, like we already do that. So I just like the real stuff. So anything else? Yes.
Yeah. So you say you bend stuff. I mean, finished quilt or finished fabric, or what do you?
When I was vending at shows, she wanted to know what I'm vending. So the nice part about vending at quilt shows is I can pretty much sell anything textile related. My main thing is selling my overdyed fabric, but I also like dyeing the laces and the little bits and that are fun to play with. People make journals, people like want to do scrolls are kind of popular now. Or I mean, I had one lady who came every year to Houston and she'd buy almost all the trim that I had. I don't know what she did with it, but so I did have small quilts in my booth sometimes, but mostly it was fabric. I used to do t-shirts, socks, scarves, whatever. So, but the fabric is my main really love, and the linens too.
So the lace have to be cotton.
Yes, anything that you dye cannot have polyester in it. And it's pretty rare, although I will say a couple weeks ago I dyed a batch of lace and one of them was still like white when I rinsed it out. So as you think of buying lace for crochet or fabric, let's say thread for crochet is all cotton usually, but I didn't think that there was thread that wasn't cotton that you would crochet with. Once in a while, yes, ma'am.
Would you dye a tablecloth for a private customer?
Sometimes, sure, just send me a message or message me on Instagram. Email's probably better. If it's really big, no. It's too. I'm too old. So, anything else? Thank you so much for having me. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Wendy. That was delightful. Lovely quilts to look at. We're gonna take a short break now, 15 minutes. Oh, what?
If you registered or renewed your membership in the last couple months, I do have a large stack of name tags out in the front. You can stop by the table and see if yours is there. And if not, we'll mail them out.
Okay, so we'll come back together at 11. It's 11:45 now. And then we'll have an announcement.
Sat down and we sat down at the group and said, all right, if MQ has a few problems, we need to do some strategic planning. What is on the list? Well, there were more than 16 areas of concern that we eventually came up with a plan, and we've been working on them. And so some of the things you might have noticed, we got a new logo in 2022, a new website in 2023. And one of the big things last year is that we did what's called governance planning. I just barely knew what the word governance meant, but governance is about how the board functions and operates. What are the roles of a board member? And we found out that as a working board, we were doing a lot of good work volunteering to get things done and making sure that the show happened, that the meetings happened and all of that. But we didn't really understand what our role was as a board, and the role of governance is one of saying, what is our mission and are we doing the right things to make sure that we fulfill on it? So we went through governance planning last year, and as a result, the board is going to be changing. One of the effects of COVID was that as volunteers stayed at home and we were still trying to have meetings and figure out Zoom and all of that, the board members kept taking on more work and more work and more work, to the point where it was a little bit crushing to try and get it all done and figure out how. And we need to undo that, because we need to have board members who are focusing on the vision for the organization and making sure we're doing the right things. And we need to have people stepping back in, working on committees and helping to make sure it gets done. So once we know what to do, then it's how to do it. And that's where we ask for help. And obviously MQ is a little bit different from every other quilting organization, because we run a show that attracts several thousand people. And that takes a little bit of planning. And then, you know, just for fun, we try to have the show be in different parts of the state. So that creates its own level of complexity. Anyway, let's see. So our board members now have a new job description that describes their governance role. And going forward this next year, kind of the new step is that the board members, about half of whom will be new members, new board members, are going to be doing a lot of recruiting and trying to get those work teams, subcommittees, standing committees, all of that organized, and making sure we're getting everything done that we need to do. So we're rebuilding our volunteer network, and you're going to see lots of evidence of that. But right now, what do we need? Well, first off, volunteers to support the show. That always goes on, and there's many opportunities. And Lori, if you can just wave your hand. This is Lori Klinkheimer. It helps Linda Wines. They manage all of the volunteer coordination, and there are many opportunities on Sign Up Genius of things you can sign up for and do, or you can just call and say, hey, I've got a couple hours this week. Do you need any help? And we'll choose something to do. It's complicated a bit. You may have heard that Brenda has been not feeling well, and she's been doing some serious medical treatment, and we're trusting that all will be well. But when your show director can't work as hard as she normally does during the busiest time of the year, we need your help. So if you think that you can help out, just ask. We have lots of activities and they are on Sign Up Genius. And we certainly appreciate the help. Right now, I also need 4 to 5 members who would really find it fun to call people up and see who's might be a good candidate for the board and try and find some people, because we need to get our candidates for next year's board ready in this month. Is it this month, Karen? So we need 7 to 10 candidates to be on the new board, and I'd like your help. So why do I stand up here and do this? Because I have a passion for Minnesota Quilters. I really love this organization. It has meant so much to me over the past 15 years. And I think it's worthwhile. Without Minnesota Quilters, there would not be an annual quilt show. And that's an opportunity to see not only quilts from all around Minnesota, but from all around the world. And it's a very important thing to do. And then aside from that, we get to teach each other to quilt, and then take that out and take that on, and Quilting for Others makes many, many quilts. More than 1,000 quilts last year went to various organizations in the Twin Cities. So there's a lot that's done here that's really honorable work. And I also am, I can only tell you, it's so much fun. This organization means everything to me. All right, I've babbled for much too long, but by all means do try and come in and be a volunteer. Now we have some other announcements. We'll get those up on screen. I have to tell you, people come up to me all the time and they say, what do you know about this? This organization is so big that oftentimes I'm clueless about what's going on. So we'll try and go through these announcements together. April workshop. How many of you saw the Frida Nelson lecture where she was going through disappearing quilt blocks? I was so astonished, just absolutely loved it. But Sunday, April 21st, I think registrations have closed. They filled it out, but you could get on the waiting list. If the waiting list gets big enough, we will try and schedule a repeat class. So 6-hour online workshop, 9 different disappearing blocks. And I was just astonished what you could do with the disappearing 4-patch. It was just amazing. So really a great class. And so go and sign up. Even though you won't get into this one, we'll let you know if there's another one. May meetings coming up. We have Christy Naranjo of Studio Christy. She's going to have a lecture and trunk show on scrappy applique, but you can see it's quite a bit of fun with the zebra. Looks like manufactured fabric for the stripes there. And then Saturday, May 4th, Lori Adamitz, whatever, I'm so sorry, presenting a trunk show again of collage applique. And it's always fun to see 2 different takes on applique that bring it sort of into the reach of those of us who don't do it by hand, 1 stitch at a time. Yes. The question is, are Thursdays going to go back to in person? And the answer is that we would need a lot more volunteers in order to make that happen. I think it's going to stay as a Zoom only, at least for the foreseeable future. We'd love to have a Thursday night class, but we just have to be realistic about what we can do. Next slide. Saturday meeting assistants are always needed. We need a photographer for show and tell. Those slides or pictures that show up in the monthly newsletter happen because somebody stands up and says, oh, I can take pictures during the meeting. So we're looking for photographers, and you can just do one Saturday and say, I'm available this month, or you can say, yeah, I'm here most months anyway. I'm happy to be a photographer. We also need volunteers whenever we can at the front table to help with coordinating the meetings. The front table, I'm realizing, is not the entry table, it's this table. If you've ever managed a Zoom meeting or been, participating, know a little bit about tech, and we're happy to teach people as well, to make sure we've got enough people in that front. So things like, can you advance a PowerPoint? Many of us, I think, could do that. Presenting announcements. if I can do it, anyone can. Monitoring the Zoom chat or running the owl. Now the owl is really supposed to, I think, move with me. I don't know if it does. What else have we got? Another slide. There we are. Oh.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yay! All right. This is Brenda, his show director. And yes, I have been going through some cancer treatments. And I know a lot of people in the room have been in this position of having to go through cancer treatments. The good news is that the cancer cells are being killed off at a very rapid rate. And I am starting to feel much better. So if this keeps going, I'll be just fine for the show. But yes, I do appreciate all those people that have been helping me out behind the scenes to get through this. And this is a picture of some of those people that are helping out. Last Wednesday, while I was getting an infusion and laying there for 6 hours, these folks got to go to the deck and tour. This is part of your show committee, and they want to invite you to join in the fun and the show. Can you go to the next slide? So we want you to get involved, and there's a few ways that you can get involved. And some of you may have actually sat at our Connect table representing another guild that you are a part of. This is a great chance for this. I think there's 60 plus guilds in our state. It's a great chance to do some outreach if you're part of one of those other groups. You can sell tickets to for your raffle quilt. You can give away information about when you meet and where you meet and all those good things. We have 4 guilds that have already signed up. When you sign up, you tell us what day and if you want a 1 hour or 2 hour slots. And as you see, you get a table and pipe and drape behind you so you can hang up some quilts. And the other new thing that we're going to try is just very informal meetups, where you propose a topic that you want to meet people, or maybe it's a certain demographic that you want to meet. Like you are the only person that you know that quilts in your county, and you want to meet other people from your area of Minnesota. You could say, people from the Lick of the Woods area that quilt, come meet me. We will put you in our social lounge, which is a room where people can just sit and be social and everything. Or maybe you want to do a meetup at one of the local restaurants or breweries after hours, so you could do that too. So we do have one meetup that's meeting already, and that's the Art and Landscape Quilters. Once I know when and the topic, I am putting those on the show website, and we will also have those on the show, inside the show guide, so that people can find you. So you don't need to sign up to attend a meetup. So that's a very fun way to connect with other people. If you're interested in proposing a meetup, or you're a guild that wants to be at the Connect table, we have a new email just for that. It's called connect@mnquilt.org. So send that email, and Leslie and Karen, who are helping me out with this, will see your email. Okay, next. Okay, so how many of you were on Thursday night's Zoom with Kate? I see hands in the room. I can see the owl. That was a phenomenal program, just so much fun. So watch for the recording on that. The date that you need to understand is coming up really fast. Like this is like a week and a half, I guess. April 16th is the quilt entry deadline, and we are starting to see those entries come in. So if you have any questions about quilt entry, Zoomers, put it in the chat, and others in the room, let's answer those questions right now. But let me give you a quick overview here. You can enter 2 quilts in judged. They have to be in different categories. You can enter 2 quilts in non-judged. And the difference between judged and non-judged is that judged has our certified judges who are giving you feedback on how well you did with your quilt. So that's 4 quilts altogether. You can enter your mystery quilt from last year. That's a separate entry. You can enter your BQ challenge. You can enter your MQ challenge. You can enter your I'm MQ RU, which is our logo exhibit. With that new logo, we have fabric for you, and you can make anything you want with that. The I'm MQ could even be a bag. It's the one place where we let you break all the rules of quilting of what makes a quilt. You can enter quilts for your youth. All of those add up to a lot of quilts that you could have in the show. And it is really exciting to walk around a show and say, hey, there's my quilt, and it's hanging on a beautiful black drape, and it looks really nice. So really encourage you to enter your quilt. If you have any problems during that process, Sue Rutford will help you. Just send her an email at quiltentryhelp@mnquilt.org, and she'll go back to you pretty fast. If you go to our website for the show, www.mnquilt.org/MQ2024, when you go to the page, there is a quilt. At the very top, is on the home page, there's a navigation bar. And look for the quilt entry page. It has information about how to put your hanging sleeve on. So thank you for that question, Mary, in the chat. That is a direct link, and we need the hanging sleeve in there because we have special hanging equipment that is a metal bar that's probably 2 to 3 inches wide. And so we need a 4-inch wide sleeve on the back of your quilt. There's information on that page about what you need to have ready for your entry. So you'll need to have a description that you want to put on your gallery card. You'll need to know the size of your quilt. If you're using a pattern, we like to give credit to the pattern designer. So the name of the pattern and the designer. If you want to sell your quilt, you can indicate a price for that, and we will sell your exhibited quilt. That's brand new this year, and I'm really excited about that opportunity because a lot of times we aren't like Wendy. We don't have galleries to sell our quilts at, right? So this is your chance to sell your quilt, and we have a couple of links on the page to help you figure out how to price your quilt too. We don't want you to give them away. We want you to sell them as a piece of art. The other thing that you can do when you enter your quilt is check that you want to do an audio file. We had some fun with that last year where there's a little card next to the quilt that says, hey, dial this number, and you can listen to an audio that goes with it. Carol Honko is going to use that for her special exhibit about quilts that have to do with the 60s. And so she's going to have little pieces of music in there. So that's a lot of fun. So I really encourage you to enter your quilts. I wanted to add a photo to the slide, and I was just going through my photo deck, and I found this fun quilt that Melissa Griggs did and wanted to share it with you. Melissa was a long-term MQ member and volunteer. She was on the show committee in the judging room, and unfortunately she died last fall. So this is just my little memory to Melissa. So what questions do you have about entering your quilts? Because you have Sarah, who's leading the judge. She can answer any questions about judged. I'm not sure if our non-judged people are there because I can't see them, but any questions about entering your quilts? Because now is the time.
It's a quiet group here.
How many of you have entered your quilt already? All right. I see a lot of hands up, and I see one Zoomer. I know I need to do mine this weekend and my taxes too. So I got those 2 things to get done.
You have more time.
Someone wanted more time.
Okay. Next slide then, if nobody has questions. Let's say that you aren't going to get your big quilt done this year. That's what I have kind of decided. I'm just not going to get it done. So I'm looking for smaller projects. And here's some smaller, quicker projects. One of them is the MQ Challenge. If you haven't purchased your packet, today is the day, right? Because it's right there over by merchandise. The packet itself is $5, and the picture that you see at the upper left is all the things that come in your little packet. And then you want to enter that along with all your other quilts. And I should say that there's an entry fee for each of these quilts, and the fee depends on the exhibit and if you're a member or not. And that fee helps us pay for all that hanging equipment and renting the venue and all those kinds of things. So MQ Challenge is one project you could do fairly quickly because I think it's a 16 by 16 or a 64-inch perimeter. So it's not a gigantic quilt. The second quick project you can do is the I'm MQ, Are You exhibit. This again is the one with the logos and colors. The fabric is for sale and some patterns for sale over by merchandise, or you can purchase both of these items, the fabrics and the challenge, if you go to the MQ website. When you go to the MQ website, there's an about page, or in the navigation bar, you go to about and you see online store. You can get those items and then we'll mail them out to you. President's Challenge. Wynn, do you want to say anything about that? It's your deal.
And I had proof this morning that I don't think through details so much because the placemats traditionally when they're going to a charitable organization, we don't worry too much about labeling them. But in this case, we are giving away prizes to, best entry or something like that. A couple of gift cards, and we need to know the name of the person who created the placemat. So it's a set of 2 placemats, and you should be sure to maybe, just use a safety pin and pin your name onto the back of it so that we know when we choose one as a favorite, we'll be able to contact that person. For those who have dropped off a couple, we've gotten a few just through contributions that have come in from Quilting for Others, but for anyone who has dropped them off, and it's only a few, give me a call, we'll get your name onto them. Thanks.
Thanks.
Complimentary?
Yes, it's a set of 2 because these are for Meals on Wheels, that type of service. And we figured, there are a lot of times when they're delivering meals to a house with 2 people. So why not have matching placemats? So that's the intention here. Yes. 12 by 18. Any, pick a favorite block and just make a placemat, 2 placemats. Any other questions? All right. That. Yeah, just pick a couple up and show.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Get it on camera.
None of these were made by me. I'm just saying.
So this one set. There are a few more coming. So some of them have just come in where we only have a set of 1, but these are the sets of 2.
And the cool thing is that we're going to hang those in the concessions area. So while you're having your lunch at the show, you can see the placemats.
All right. Do we have more announcements?
Yeah, there should be a couple more slides. And I think we need Lori Klinkhammer to come up. Or the next slide is about workshops, I think. And then Lori be ready to come up. Workshops at the show. It's so fun to hear Wendy and Wanda talking about classes they have taken and Win. It's the W day. It's the Win, Wanda, Wendy day, isn't it? So we have a lot of workshops that are full. So you can always add your name to a wait list. We have a very small number of classes that I'm going to have to cancel just because there is such low enrollment in them. We just never know what people are going to be interested in. So we put out lots of different options and see what sticks. I did want to invite you to especially consider these workshops. These are workshops that have good enrollment, but I would love to have a few more people in there just to make sure we can cover all of our expenses. So check out those workshops especially, but always go to the quilt website, and there's information about every single workshop. The supply list is there, the photo is there, etc. Okay, next one. Okay, Lori Clickhammer, your chance. Lori is on our show committee, and she's one half of the volunteer committee.
Half that's in person. The other half is up north right now. That's where she lives in Zimmerman. Is this better? Yeah. Okay. So I work with the entire show committee to find their volunteer needs and then help fill them. So we have, and MQ has used Sign Up Genius for quite a few years now. And I think we're getting better at using it. I'm not as afraid of it anymore. It's an online system, but it's not bad. When you go to mnquilt.org, you can hover over getting involved and then choose volunteer sign up. It will take you right to the Sign Up Genius page. Unfortunately, right now, it doesn't always take you where I want you to go, which is 2024 Quilt Show. It sometimes takes you to the other. So as you can see here, where it says more signups, if you start in the other signups, that will say 2024 Quilt Show. That's where you want to go. And we have it organized because the show is over so many days with so many volunteer slots, over 400 slots to volunteer for a couple of hours or a full day, depending upon when. We have organized it by day of week. So we start on Sunday and we go all the way through to Saturday. And we figure that's the way you can best find when you're available. So when you can help, because you know when you're available. If you're not there on Monday, just don't look at the Monday signups. If you're in the Duluth area, however, please look at the Monday and the Tuesday and the Wednesday and the Saturday signups particularly, because some of those slots are hard for people who aren't in the area to fill because they're not up there, right? It just is a little easier if you're close. And if you have any questions at all when you get in there, if you click the contact button here, right there, the email will go to show volunteers, plural, at mnquilt.org, and I will see it and we will help you get through it. So we have a lot of opportunity. Right now, we're really trying to fill up the judged, because those are on site in Duluth. And so those are the 2 days, and then quilt hanging and that's fun too. I've helped, it's fun. That is, we hang on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then quilt takedown and return is another spot that we need a lot of help with because everybody wants their quilts as soon as the show closes. If you want them really fast, help us take them down and help us give them back. And one other thing that we're doing this year, thank you, Brenda, all quilts will be returned in the Edmonds Fitzgerald Hall. All of them. You will have one place to go instead of in St. Cloud. Non-judged was in one location and judged was in another location, and that kind of made for a conundrum for folks, didn't know where to start. But this year we have the opportunity to have them all in Edmonds Fitzgerald. So that's where we really need help right now. Where'd Win go?
Oh, I can take this next slide here. I think Margaret might be in the room too. I'm not sure, but if you want to do a chartered bus for your guild or your area, You can certainly do that. Contact a charter bus company, get it set up, and you can register your bus with us. And that will give you a reduced rate for admission to the show. And then we also advertise the bus for you. Right now, we have only one bus registered. I know there's a couple others, but they haven't done the registration yet. But there is a bus coming from Alexandria, and it's making multiple stops between Alexandria and Duluth. So you might want to check that out if you live outstate. So yeah. And then once you get to the show, Margaret is the one that will greet you. And that's it for the show, unless anybody has any questions about the show.
All right, thanks everyone. If you have, whether you're a Zoomer or a Roomer, email your quilt photos to Show and Tell. If, that way we can get them into the newsletter, and we'll go on with the meeting. I think the next thing up is Show and Tell, right?
Sure.
Thank you. I'm Loretta Stone. I want to talk about our in-city retreats. Probably, if you pay any attention to that, my name is on almost every retreat as a host. I'm not trying to hog up that position at all. Myself and Charlotte Breivik will be the host again for April in city retreat. Then starting in July, August, September, October, November, there will be a retreat every month. And my name, I think, might be on every month. That's not, I'm just letting you know, I'm not the one that wants to be hogging that up, because if you sign up as to be a host, you don't have to pay for the retreat, but you can bring your machine and you can sew and do all the stuff that everybody else does. But Deborah got a hold of me and she said, put your name on these things because we want to hold the dates. So, okay, that's what I did. So yeah.
Loretta Stone, but it's not set in stone.
That's right. That's right. So if you see my name and you want, this month it is for April, but the rest of them, you want to sign up and you got a friend that you want to host with. Okay, go ahead and do it. You can contact Deborah and she'll fix it all up. So, yes.
What are your hosting duties?
Pardon me?
What are your hosting duties?
Okay, what are my hosting duties? Well, in the morning, she set it up now for there's morning and evening. Okay, for the morning, you want to make sure all the irons are out here, all the cutting boards, everything's plugged in and ready to go when everybody starts coming in. And especially the first day, because everybody comes before 9 o'clock. They want to get their favorite table. Okay, but yeah, in the morning, that's what you do. You come in and you make sure that you have everything all turned on, and when the sewers come in, they're ready to go. And the evening, again, you kind of do you don't put anything away on Thursday and Friday. You just go around, make sure that the irons are turned off. And some people bring their own, make sure they have theirs unplugged or turned off. And you lock the door when you go out. And Deborah will give you keys to open and close the door out there. So I think that's all I needed to tell you, but I just wanted to make myself sure plain.
All right, and I think what we wanted to say also is that they happen in town.
Yep,
They're City Hall right here in this space. So the nice thing is that you can set up for a couple of days. It's usually a Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday, no, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is the deal. And when we release the sign up list, it's like almost immediately. So the advantage of being a hostess is that you are in, you know, you don't have to worry about eating the registration cutoff. So we found that they're very, very popular.
They are. They have been so far. We're looking for, okay, yeah.
So you don't have to set up the tables and the chairs?
No, no, someone comes in.
That's all done.
They're all set up where we need them. Deborah has a scheme all set up where they need to be. And so they're all in place. So all you just have to make sure you know where to get the irons and the cutting mats.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, Deborah will guide you through the process. It's a pretty low-key day. It's split up into 2 people because it's a long day, long days. And so the morning setup person has to be there first thing in the morning, get there a little bit early, but they can work with their co-host to figure out, all right, I'm gonna stay here till 3, and they say, well, I'm gonna come in for lunch. So, and then that person stays until you shut down, which is 8 o'clock.
On Thursday and Friday.
8 o'clock Thursday and Friday.
Saturday is 5.
Saturday, 5 p.m. All right.
And it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, very popular.
Okay.
Thanks, Loretta.
Yeah.
All right. Are we getting on then to the show and tell? All right. If we have any volunteers in the audience, you all have phones that can take pictures. So if anyone wants to, please take a picture. If you get some good pictures, you can send them to Deborah. And what I do when I take the picture is I take a picture of the quilt, and I try to make sure that I also get a picture of the person who's showing off their quilt. So if you want to start lining up, those are something for show and tell. And there is a sign-up sheet where you write in your name so that Deborah knows the sequence going through as you come up. And she knows if you have a name for your quilt, you can write that in as well, but that sign-up is right on the table. So do we have a lot of show and tell? A few people are starting to move over. All right, we'll slowly get.
Your break. I'm doing your show and tell. This was for sale. This was for sale for clothing for others. And the young lady purchased it.
All right. Louise is running the merchandise table as always, and she has lots of things for sale. So take a look there. And our first show and tell person is all ready to come up. Maybe we'll need, there's some holders. Oh, we have a couple people over. So for the people, if you come on up, give your quilt there.
Hi, I'm Darlene Baczynski from Roseville, and I bought a couple things at the last MQ garage sale. And this was a top that someone masterfully hand pieced, like grandmother's flower pattern. And so I just put this together and then I hand quilted it because I couldn't machine quilt something that had been hand pieced. So I just wanted to show the finish that I rescued. And this one I also was a kid. I also bought at the garage sale last spring, or a year ago almost. And it was part of the Camelot series. So this was Guinevere's Garden. And anyway, another rescue, I guess.
I made this quilt from the pattern that we were, I thought there was a challenge to use this pattern. And I've already gotten the name of the pattern.
BQ5.
What's it called?
BQ5.
All right. See that before. Well, and so that wasn't mentioned, I think. Yeah. Well, that's the BQ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just finished the facing on this. I'm Rose Allen. This is a quilt that's made using the interleaf technique. I'm going to be teaching this at the Minnesota Quilt Show. And this took me about an afternoon. So, and it's all quilted when it's done. So if you haven't learned stitch and flip quilting, which is what I call it, I invite you to register. There are a few spots left in the workshop that's on Saturday morning. I also want to mention that we are doing a beginner's track at the show. I've been working with Helen Smithstone, and I'm doing a series of schoolhouses on Thursday on basic things like preparing your fabric and cutting your fabric and how to piece and get things the right size and walking foot quilting and how to bind a quilt. Helen is teaching a day-long class for beginners on Friday that focuses on just preparing 9-page. And so you may, if you've got a friend who comes with you who is kind of not quite sure they want to get into this, certainly the schoolhouse lectures would be useful. They don't have to prepare anything, and Helen's class will be very informative. And they get to make something too. So just a little pitch for that.
My name is Jean Lamore, and somebody in the room dropped an earbud type. I'll just put it here if you lost your technology. Okay, so this was supposed to hang in the show last June, but I didn't have it done. And so I finally have it done. I had one in white and green that I had made, and a friend saw it and loved it because I pin people's names on there when I'm praying for their stuff that they're dealing with. And she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And so I gave her the one that she had admired that really isn't, I'm not a fancy quilter. Some of these people are amazing. I'm like, I just do it because I love it. So now I'm trying to decide, should I show it in the show even though it's last year's challenge?
Yes.
Okay, and then I'll put it on my wall and put people's names on it. I still pray even without that on the wall, but it's nice to finally have. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I like having handwork. So again, I'm not fancy, but I got stuff. All people, is there another time? All people you mind? So I'm Molly O'Day from Stillwater, and our granddaughter, who is like 20, but she's really only 14. Our only granddaughter though, asked me to make her a quilt. And I was shocked. And so I said, what color? And she said, oh, red. So we had an opportunity to go to Florida to the Panhandle for the month of February. And it was cold, but I was prepared. I brought my machine, 3 boxes of fabrics, table, chair, and until 2 o'clock every day, when it was cold, I quilted. So it started off to be Irish chain, but I couldn't do all those fabrics then. So this was it. Oh, and then I forgot to tell you, she wanted it batted with polyester. So it's puffy. And it was hard to machine quilt on my machine, but I did it. And she's getting it tomorrow. Look at those very points. Yes, I bought this ruler at a quilt show many years ago for 39. Now it's 58, and I used it.
I'm Ann Peck, and I also ran into the whole Gulf of Mexico in February and made an alphabet for grandchildren. Some of which I learned.
Hi, my name is Kathy Rose from Mendota Heights. I'm new to Minnesota, to this quilt guild, and I was encouraged to come up and show my coat. There's a little bit of story behind this coat. I'm not going to show you the back quite yet because that's part of the story. I was wearing this coat down in Houston at the quilt show. It took me a lot of years to make it because it's pieced and then hand quilted. And I happened to be shopping in a booth, and in the booth was Roberta Horton. You know Roberta Horton? So I bought a lot of things. I was chatting to the guy in the booth, and I said, as I was checking out, hey, by the way, would you give me 10% off? Because I bought these things and I'll tell everybody your booth is the best booth at the show. And he said, okay, I'll do that. So it was great. Later, I was going home and I was in the elevator, and who should walk in but Roberta Horton. And she says to me, you know, the only reason you got that discount is because you're a blonde. So then later that night, I was going to dinner, and as I was waiting for the hostess to seat me, I heard these two women behind me go, oh. So I kind of turned around and they said, were you in a booth with Roberta Horton? And I said, yes, I was. And she said, well, we've been in class with her the whole day, and she's been talking about you and telling this story about you got a discount because you were blonde. And she said, and then she was saying, yeah, I see that blonde woman all over the quilt show. And every time she turns around, I see that bullseye on her back, and I just want to shoot her. Texas. In Houston.
Hi, I'm Shirley Arndt. Before COVID struck, somebody was kind enough to put on the free table these blocks. Some of them were embroidery, but not all of them. And so I finally got it all finished, and I just wanted to share it with you today. Yeah, I know that. Wow. It's hand quilted. And this is a quilt that I just got back today from Rita, who has quilted it for me. It's a graduation gift for our grandson.
Wow, thanks.
Hi, I'm Erica Brannick from Hudson. This is a baby quilt for my nephew and his fiance who are expecting this month. I'm really excited and proud of this because I designed the pattern. I know it's really basic, but I designed the pattern myself in slides and then built it. And I actually quilted it myself on my machine, and it was awful, but it was a great experience learning it for the first time. And most important, because it's a baby quilt that I wanted to actually use, I threw it in the washing machine on super hot, super spin, super long, and the dryer on sanitize it lived.
Okay, now there's a few online ones to have a look at. The few online ones to have a look at, and I don't know if any of these folks are still on the Zoom call or not. If you are, speak up and talk about your quilt. You can. So is Debbie Hayman's on Zoom? I think so. Anyway, she was dog sitting and goat sitting for her son every weekend, and she put this together in like a day. It's a quilt as you go quilt, and it's a table runner. And her daughter-in-law loved it so much that she kept it. There you go. And there you go. Diane Rose, are you in? On Zoom.
Here, he's here.
Oh, he's here. Where? Come talk about this. She can tell you the story herself, which is quite nice.
So this year for Christmas, my husband, by the ex. Okay. So my husband had contacted friends and family that had received quilts from me in the past, and he asked for them to send him a picture, preferably with the recipient in the picture. So he did get a big pile of emails, and then he sorted them out and made, through Shutterfly, you can do like a poster, and then he had them mounted, and so I got 3 of them for Christmas. So that's the first one, and each one has one of our kids in the center with a quilt. So they're cool. Yeah. And the newest, that one in the bottom right, that is my great niece, and it's like a play quilt, so it has all sorts of different activities on it. So she's looking up. There's a little owl in the tree, and there's a like a string. So if you pull it one way, it goes behind the tree, and if you pull it on the other side, it pops out. It pops out. So she's looking up the owl. She may have been pulled. And then there's one more. Oh, did they show 3 already? Yeah. No, that's fine. I just didn't see it. So anyway, isn't he the best husband?
Yes.
I'm actually here.
You're here. Good.
To see when I made it. So next month, Thursday, Christy is going to be there. And she does quite a bit online. And I took her class during COVID, an online kind of thing, and then bought a couple of her patterns and made the zebra. And you can make it, I mean, it really is a cool method. So if you want to learn it, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what else we'll talk about, but it was actually very easy, and I think it comes out, looks very nice.
Okay, the last is Carol Hancock. Is Carol online? No, she doesn't think she's here. She was on Thursday, so maybe not. This is one of her series of quilts that she's doing for the quilt show. The series is called "And Beat Goes On." And so she's doing different quilts about different songs from the 60s. In case you haven't heard these, it's going to be a cool exhibit, I think. This is one that's called Moon River. So this is an example of quilts that will be on there. And another thing about this quilt show is that there's going to be an audio experience that goes with this. So as you're standing here looking at the quilt, you can hear snippets of the different songs that are that quilt is based on. So it'd be a really fun exhibit. So you have to make sure you go see that. One online show and tell. Hang on. Helen online is going to show something.
Hi, everyone. This is Helen. I'm in Duluth, of course. First of all, this is just a wonderful meeting, and I'm so excited to see not only Wendy's program, which was fabulous, but all of the wonderful things that are happening there. And the show and tells, they're always just wonderful. I don't have a quilt to show to you today, but I'm excited to share something with you that happened just a couple of days ago. And it is this magazine. It's called The Woman Today. It's published in Duluth, and it's distributed all over northern Minnesota. And I am lucky to be featured in the magazine, a 4-page spread as your Minnesota Quilter of the Year. And I just wanted to share that with you. I will put a link in the chat so you can take a look at it if you're interested. The copies are going very, very quickly. They're free at grocery stores and banks and restaurants and all over the area. So the word gets out about the Minnesota show when you advertise in this magazine, and I believe that there will be ads in the magazine supporting and promoting the June show. But pretty exciting that this happened to me, so I just wanted to share it with you. Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Thanks, Helen, for letting us know about that.
Hoping that you can do the online Zoom door prize while I go find the door prizes for in here.
Yes, let me get to the random number generator. I came up with 44, which is, oops, today. Amy Hargens. Is Amy Hargens on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you are the winner of a $25 gift certificate to one of the show vendors.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
So you will have to figure out which show vendor you'd like the gift certificate to, and we will take care of getting that to you.
Okay, so I'll go out and look at the vendors. Thank you.
Yeah.
Finish this? Got the beat. Oh, shoot. All right, we're going to have the door prizes for in here now. And I wanted to let you know these have all been donated by our speaker today, Wendy Richardson. So the first one is for this blue-gray fabric, piece of fabric. All right, your tickets out. It's 571634. Oh, I'm getting back to this next one is for this pattern. And this is 571682. Right here. Lovely piece of fabric. It's 571650. 650. Back there on the back wall. All right, next piece of fabric. The winner is 571667. And the last one. 571-690. 690. Look at your tickets. Did she leave? In the other room? 690. Is there anybody in the other room? If she left, she's out of luck. Tell somebody else. No one's out there? Going once, going twice, let's draw another number. All right, the next one is 571-656. That's you. All right. And that is it, I believe. Thank you for coming. Oh, wait. Can I ask a question regarding on the challenge? Yes. On the challenge projects, I believe it is because they're still using the same hanging system. Oh, yeah, the question was the sleeves on the hanging projects. They're still there. I believe they are.